Mallorca, the land of eternal sun, perfect tarmac and postcard switchbacks. A cycling paradise, with famous climbs like Sa Calobra and Puig Major, drawing riders from around the world like moths to a flame. But there's something most visitors never see, a darker side. Beyond the polished climbs and steady gradient lies a hidden world of broken roads and brutal gradients, the climbs that the tourist board don't want you to see. So today we're skipping the scenic and diving headfirst into untamed savagery. These are Mallorca's most extreme climbs, where the gradients spike, the surfaces crumble, and the island bares its teeth. Welcome to Mallorca's most extreme climbs. We begin with a climb that has undergone a remarkable transformation, the ugly duckling done good. So much so, in fact, it almost didn't make this list. Tucked just outside the town of Alaro, Es Verger was for years a mess. A rough track of loose gravel, potholes and broken stone. A climb only mountain bikers or the moderately unhinged would attempt. But that's all changed. Recently resurfaced, Es Verger has been reborn and, hot take incoming, it might just be the best climb on the entire island. A golden road that winds 4 kilometers skyward through 21 tight hairpins, framed by towering boulders and ancient olive trees. The views are pure cinema, with each bend revealing more of the valley below. The average gradient sits just under 9%, steeper than the typical Mallorcan climb, hard enough to test your legs, but consistent enough to stay in a rhythm. A rewarding, steady effort rather than a full-blown sufferfest. It ends officially at the famous Es Verger Lamb restaurant, a rustic stone building nestled onto the hillside with a sleepy courtyard. There's little through traffic here, just hikers, mercifully oblivious sheep, and now a steady stream of cyclists. But the climb doesn't have to end there. Beyond the restaurant, the smooth tarmac gives way to rubble, gravel and broken rock once more, a brutal reminder of Es Verger's former self. The road continues to climb towards the ruins of the Castell de Alaro, offering a tougher, more rugged extension for those who want to push deeper into the island's wild side. So whether you stop at the restaurant or carry on to the chaos, Es Verger is 2 climbs in one, the smooth and the savage. A modern classic, a fitting place to begin, and a road worth riding before the crowds catch on. To encounter our next beast, we must first travel west, deep down into the folds of the Tramontana, a place seemingly designed to win a bet between the engineers. How many hairpins can we cram into 5 kilometers before anyone notices? The answer is 23, and yes, I noticed. Port is Canonge. It starts off quietly, a blink and you'll miss it turn just south of Esporles on the M810, and it's a sharp drop off the ridge into a twisting descent along a concrete concertina, plunging down through pine trees and coastal crags towards a sleepy port. Reach the end of the road and the only way out is back up. Much like Sa Calobra and the Port de Vall de Colonya, this is a dead-end road, and beats those better-known climbs into today's list due to sheer volume of hairpins, its hard-working PR team, and seriously steep maximum gradients. Though the average sits at 6.5%, that number is sandbagged by a downhill section near the top. Ignore that and you're looking at long ramps over 14%, stitched together by tight blind corners that come with such regularity that it borders on comical. But in between the suffering, sea views are visible throughout the climb, rarely more than a quick glance over the shoulder away, and traffic is nearly non-existent. A climb that's wild, obscure and barely visited, but once you've been, it's unforgettable. Most climbs in Mallorca feel like they were designed with cyclists in mind. The Comuna de Bunyola isn't one of them. Found just outside the mountain town of Bunyola, this climb is perhaps better suited to a gravel bike or even a mountain bike. But with a bit of confidence and a spare inner tube, roadies can just about manage. At 7 kilometers and a 6.3% average, it doesn't sound that intimidating. But stats mean little here. This climb is all about the road surface. Loose rocks, dust, exposed roots. On the steepest hairpins, the gravel gives way to ungenerously cambered slabs of concrete, but don't relax. These sections come with deep drainage gaps just waiting to catch an unsuspecting tyre. You'll want to be on high alert as you pick your line up this climb, a constant weave between sharp rocks and furrows, anything to keep you upright and your tyres intact. A seated climb is your best bet in this instance. Getting out of the saddle is a recipe for your rear wheel to skid as you lose traction on the loose terrain. The climb winds up into the forest hills above Bunyola, with sunlight flickering through the pines and views stretching back towards Palmer Bay. It's rugged, it's peaceful, and it's punishing. Every metre of elevation gained here is worth 50% extra due to the increased effort. The descent is going to need a healthy bucket of caution. It's steep in parts and you can pick up speed quickly. Not ideal when emergency braking is very much on the cards. If you do want to be a total legend, you can of course send it. Bonus points to anybody who can ride over this section here by the gate. For riders who love a bit of off-road grit, this is paradise. Bring the wrong bike, drop the tyre pressure and get stuck in. Next up, we're back on tarmac and heading to the quiet roads outside Pollença Old Town, in the north of the island. Heading to a climb so low-key you might struggle to find it, and you may wonder if you're even allowed to be there. You are, just stop before the gate at the top. This is the Vall de Colonya, and it's one of the steepest climbs on the island, and one that no one is talking about. Just under 4 kilometers long, a modest 7% average, but don't let the numbers fool you, this climb is a North's answer to Sobremunt. This climb is vicious. After an easy first kilometre or so, it kicks, and then never really lets up. It has long straights that can feel like climbing a sheer wall, sharp corners and ramps that shoot over 15 and sometimes even 24%. The tarmac is narrow, shaded and winding, offering brief glimpses out towards Pollença Bay if you dare look up from your stem. You won't find signs, you won't find cyclists, just a lonely road on the Tramontana's perimeter, rising through farmland and forest daring you to take it on. You can reach it easily enough from the cycling hubs of Alcudia and Port de Pollença. Just head out of Pollença on the Camí de Can Bosc and keep climbing. This would make for a great little extension to the Garage Loop or even a lighthouse ride. And since you'll have no choice but to descend it, please take caution. It's narrow with tight turns and extreme steepness that can feel more ski slope than bike path. I don't think it's likely to be a regular occurrence, but I'd be remiss if I didn't mention that the first time I rode here, I had to bunny hop a very large snake traversing the road, further solidifying the case for the Vall de Colonya as one of Mallorca's most extreme climbs. Next up, we have a climb that earned its place on this list, not just for its stats, but for the sheer effort it took me to get there. A cross-island pilgrimage to a lesser ridden road I'd heard whispered about more than once, but never had a chance to climb. The southern ascent of Puig de Randa. Now on paper, it doesn't scream extreme, and in reality it doesn't offer much extremity either. 6.6 kilometers at an average of 5.8%, with a max ramp touching 12.6% over its steepest 100 meters. Respectable, but not terrifying. It's not the most brutal climb in Mallorca, not by a long shot, but what it is an underrated banger. You begin with a tightly packed series of hairpin, quick-fire turns that stack up one after the other. They aren't super steep, but they come at you fast. A fun way to gain elevation quickly, with precisely zero traffic around. The road's not perfect, but it's a long way from bad, and the quiet gives the whole climb a peaceful, slightly forgotten feel. About halfway up, things start to tilt a bit more. The gradient kicks into 13% plus territory in short bursts as the road straightens out and you get clear views across the east of the island. At one point you pass a kind of Bond villain secret base before quickly moving on to merge back onto the classic climb from Randa town, the well-known road up to the weather station and monastery at Cura. From there it's the final stretch to the summit, winding along the dome-shaped hilltop that gives you a 360 panorama across the entire island. So no, it's not the steepest or the wildest, but it's quiet, scenic and full of personality. And if you've already ticked off the usual climbs, the Puig de Randa southern descent is definitely worth a detour, and potentially a better option than the more famous route up. So I hope you're enjoying this list. If you like stats about climbs, Mallorca, playing cards, that kind of thing, then you'll love KOM cards. This is a new playing card game and guide for the island of Mallorca. In each card, each deck contains 36 climbs from across the island, fully playable game and a great way to support the channel if you'd like to do that. What else to say? You may have noticed that I'm wearing a lot of cool Rocker Corba garms at the moment. That's because they're now working with the channel. So if you want to have nice outfits like this, you don't need to wear them with your shorts, but that's how I roll. Make sure to check out Rocker Corba and use the code SAM15. Also, I now have a website, so everything that I've ever written for a voiceover or done a list like this is now available in black and white. So check out samfinicycling.co.uk, where all the handy guides for booking a trip to Mallorca, where to ride, what not to do, that kind of stuff. So yeah, enjoy. Coming in at number 1, and let's be honest, the only rightful winner on this list, is a climb that doesn't just ask for your respect, it demands it. Sobremunt. Tucked in the Tramontana between the Stablement and the Sporles and easily reachable from Palma or Andratx, This is Mallorca's most extreme climb. Full stop. Now I know what you're thinking, but what about Sa Calobra? No. Sa Calobra is a postcard, Sobremunt is hate mail. One of the common criticisms of riding in Mallorca is that everything's a bit too tidy. 5 kilometers at 5%, a bit friendly, a bit civilized. But Sobremunt is not that. It's the mad uncle of the island's climbs, the one you don't bring up at dinner. On paper, it doesn't even sound that bad. 7 kilometers at an average of 9%, you've seen worse, but here's the twist. The first 3 kilometers lull you in with mellow gradients, the kind that let you get comfy, maybe even smile. Then it hits you. Because after that gentle intro and a tiny downhill tease, the road goes vertical. Gradients spike into the 15s, then hold into the 20s, and even push to 25% in places. And not for 10 meters, for long, soul-destroying stretches. It's the kind of climb where you stop looking at the horizon because the road just doesn't go there. It goes up and then up a bit more. Zigzagging in the easiest gearing you own is essential. And just to make sure you're fully committed to the suffering, the road surface is, well, generous people would call it mixed. Other commentators online have described it as something closer to downtown Aleppo. But here's the thing, that's part of its charm. Sobremunt doesn't try to be scenic or smooth, it exists to test you. It's not about style points or nice views, there are none. It's about survival. You might not even make it up in one go, but you'll remember it, and that was in a league of its own. So, if you're after Mallorca's most extreme climb, the real one, the one that doesn't get printed on postcards, then this is it. Sobremunt, undisputed champ and an absolute bastard.